for staying. It's still raining like crazy outside, so
Hola, hola.
thank you for staying here. So joining me today, we have Juliana. Juliana is a specialist in strategy and business development in Web3. She's also responsible for BitGo's operation in Latin America. Sofia, also joining us from Brazil. Sofia covers LATAM for Fireblocks. Fireblocks is an institutional grade platform delivering secure infrastructure for moving, storing, and issuing digital assets. Also extensive experience in Web3. We have Dan, who's a Chief Product Officer at Backed. Backed is an NYSE listed platform company that enables businesses to offer crypto solutions, and also extensive experience in crypto, Dan. And we have Mai as the Director of Global Sales at GK8. GK8 centers on shaping strategic opportunities with traditional financial services to foster cryptocurrency services. And we have Luis Lombardi, who's the Regional VP for Latin America for MicroStrategy. Thank you all for joining us. So let me kick off very quickly with a statistic, official statistic for Argentina. 63% of checks in Argentina are paper checks. So with today's technology, this makes little sense. And I'd like to open the floor and ask everyone, we can start with Juliana. What do you think Bitcoin and Web3 and blockchain technology can bring in general to improve companies, big companies, in terms of payments, businesses, and in general ease of work?
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks so much for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here among these people. So when we talk about blockchain and when we compare to TradeFi, we have a lot of problems in the traditional industry. Basically, it's a very centralized business where we don't have transparency. So it's very, there's a lot of opacity and centralization. And when we talk about blockchain, we are trying to solve these problems. So we are talking about the technology of inclusion because we have the goal and the mission to make products and solutions more transparent, more cost-effective, and also with the possibility to include more people in the financial world. When we talk about Latin America, for example, there's a lot of unbanked people that basically don't have access to financial services because for some banks, don't make sense for them to onboard these people because they are basically not bringing money to their business. And crypto and blockchain, it's working in the other way. It's trying to democratize the access of everyone to basically be your own owner of your money, which is, at the end of the day, the most logical thing to happen. So when we are talking about this and financial services, it's basically a technology that should allow more people to have this type of connectivity and allow business to offer better products, always thinking, of course, in the democratization of this type of services.
Thank you. Sofia, in your experience with Web3, what can we use to improve all this?
Of course, so just kind of tapping along a little bit what Juliana was mentioning, I think that efficiency, right, it's something that this technology can bring. And when we think about companies that have global reach and are receiving payments from subsidiaries, for example, UK companies, subsidiaries in Latin America, different currencies. So when you add blockchain and specifically stable coins, you bring efficiency, speed, lower costs, right? Because nowadays, when you think of when companies are receiving payments from all over the world, it can take up to 2 weeks, right, for them to receive in their actual headquarter bank account, right? With crypto, now we're able to do this in a faster manner, much more cost efficient, traceability, right? Because everything is on chain, you're able to see the flow of funds through the whole process, as well as crypto is an industry that's open 24/7, right? So whereas sometimes you need to receive a wire, but during the weekend it's not counted for, with, again, blockchain, you can do it every day of the week, 24/7, which is also bringing a lot of efficiency. So I guess my main point would be efficiency.
Absolutely. Mai.
Sure. So, of course, I'm echoing to everything that Juliana and Sofia said. So definitely efficiency, definitely settlement, real-time settlement. You don't have to wait anymore for money to not arrive. You can leverage exactly what you have and what you're receiving real-time. I would also say that here in LATAM, with hyperinflation, it gives people the ability to actually maintain the value of their money. And we see that. We see the regulation in LATAM growing and more accepting crypto all over LATAM, whether it's Brazil, who's leading it, and here in Argentina, you have those amazing crypto exchanges. Regulation was about to come. Hopefully it will come. Let's see who will be elected. So definitely it gives the people the ability to control their destiny, not related to where they live or the economy situation of their country. Other than, of course, for company, as you said, real-time settlement, efficiency, transparency, trust.
Thank you. Luis, well, you're from MicroStrategy, so you're going to say buy Bitcoin. But I'm sure that there's more to that.
Oh.
You listen?
No?
Yeah. Yes, it has to be some advantages because I work for MicroStrategy. So, yes, you know, we always say internally at the company that there were a lot of innovations that has to do with things that occurs regularly in our lives that moves to software. It was the time for the music to move to software. It was time to the social relationships. Some of them moved to software. And now it's a turn of the money moving to software. So I think it's like a power, it's like a force that is moving forward. So you have to be to make an effort to be included in that force, because it's going to at some moment in the near future, or it's happening right now, everything is going to be on that train. So I think it's something that we have to be in our agendas, on every CEO agenda, to be planning to have this possibility of, for instance, the example is excellent, the example of the checks that are paper. And imagine that there is no more paper, there is no more logistics, there is no more clearance companies in the middle, and there is no more fraud. So because it's safe security, and it's, as Maya said, is in the right moment, in less than a second. So it is the media that we are going to be included, every one of us, every company, and it's happening right now. So I think there is no to be agree or disagree with it. It's happening. So I think it's just a matter of time.
Exactly, yes. Dan.
Yeah, hard to add, as my co-panelists have covered a lot of the great use cases. I think, as you said, on the payment side, I think it's quite interesting that this whole space started with Bitcoin and the white paper and peer-to-peer electronic cash. And then we saw an explosion of different use cases and people using the technology for multiple other things, and NFTs and stable coins, DeFi, et cetera, And now we're starting to see maybe it come back again, back to payments, back to the original use case, and back to actually truly having internet native payments, which I don't think people still comprehend quite how big that is. Because even things like stable coins, right, they're kind of version 1. They're not truly internet native. They're still dollars sitting in a bank account in some traditional TradFi bank somewhere, and you're moving around, liability to reclaim that. But with Bitcoin, that is only exists on the internet. There's no liability relationship. There's no external counterpart. And now with things like Lightning, which is becoming mature, and I know, MicroStrategy you're working with as well, that now enables global, borderless, frictionless, real-time, near-free, programmatic payments on the internet. And I think that's huge, right? Just you mentioned a great example domestically within a single country, but cross-border to countries that can't do commerce with other people in other countries because the payment rails are too inefficient. Now they're opened up to that, and now we're going to have global competition like we did with the internet.
Let me pivot on that and start with you again. So it seems like we have the technology. Sometimes companies, especially big companies, they're like these big ships that take so long to turn, and sometimes it's just doing business as usual. Sometimes there are regulations, but sometimes it's also culture. Now, within your company, can you mention specific things that companies can already use to start moving in that direction?
Yeah, for us, we're a custodian and a trading platform, and then we have some products built around that. So, we're, as you mentioned, a publicly traded company. We have to sort of toe the line between where the market is today and where that future, is going. And I think, today, inflation hedge, store of value, Bitcoin as a use case, corporate treasury, even nation state with El Salvador, that is a great use case today, particularly in countries with higher inflation. And then trading is still where the bulk of the money is in the space. So people want to have access to financial upside that perhaps don't have access to traditional stock markets. Crypto can help to bring that. And then ultimately, as my last question, we're starting investing and enabling cross-border remittances and payments being the next wave, but I don't think the industry is quite there just yet.
Yes, and having platforms, right? Actually, all the companies, Luis, again, coming back to you, but already within regulation, because there is sometimes this idea that, crypto is this obscure corner for, and there are regulated companies, big companies, that already offer this plethora of services and possibilities. Luis, we all know about the MicroStrategy strategy of holding, but there's also software developments. You're working on Lightning Network. Can you share with us some specifics of how companies can benefit from this?
Yes, actually, the DNA of MicroStrategy was the business intelligence, the artificial intelligence, and a couple of years ago, we started to try to adopt a new DNA, which is that, as Maya said, to maintain our value of our assets in Bitcoins, because there is no risk like the fiat has, which is losing their value, the logistics of the values, their papers. There are, Mike explained a couple of hours ago about the money you lost keeping your values in fiat and stuff. So we started with a strategy with our balance sheet to have our liquidity, our cash, mostly in Bitcoins, and preserve those Bitcoins, not consider the Bitcoin an speculative tool, but consider the Bitcoin as a way to maintain our assets. So we are with that agenda. Saying that, we have started to try to make some explorations in the market with several products that mix business intelligence, artificial intelligence, and Bitcoin. And so now, for instance, one of our brand new products is Lightning, MicroStrategy Lightning, where you can give awards to your employees in Satoshis. For instance, if you come earlier to a Zoom meeting, you get X Satoshis. If you answer the emails or you do things right, corporately speaking, you get some Satoshis, and then you can exchange already in the US, you can do that. You can exchange those Satoshis for US dollars if you want. So we have started exploring, in my vision is that we are exploring the market if this works for them to have these applications with Bitcoins and artificial intelligence and business intelligence. But the more exciting things, I think, for us is the future to come. We are, as I was talking to Dan before, we have several projects ongoing that we still are top secrets, but that involves AI, BI, and Bitcoin. But actually, we are also talking to several banks in New York, banks in Brazil, that they want to make some custody accounts for the cryptos. And so they are asking us, as we are a BI company with Bitcoins, how can they analyze in the best way to increase their profits in those brand new products the banks are offering, which is that give every person in the world a saving box in Bitcoins.
Right.
So I think we have very exciting times right now and in the near future and in the far future, with this whole world already mixed. And we get some benefits from the world, from the planet when they started to change to software, when they started to move through social networks. We started with products over social networks and analytics over social networks, and so we are going to be very benefit when the Bitcoins start to be a day by day asset for everybody in the world.
Right. So let me go to May. In terms of innovation, what practical examples can we draw from these new technologies?
Sure. So basically, I can share how we're actually collaborating with companies. So GK8 is a self-custody solution, end-to-end solution, Vault MPC, warm wallet, covered by the highest insurance in the market. The way we collaborate with companies is that basically we enable them to start offering custody as a service in the most secure manner. And then once you have that building block on top of it, you can add additional financial services, right? Trading, staking, DeFi, lending, tokenization, basically enable tokenization of traditional assets to have unbankable assets now bankable. So with the global regulation that is really increasing everywhere in the globe, except for the US now at the moment, but hopefully it will change. Yeah. We see that becoming very, very mainstream. Stable coin, tokenization, security token, utility token, and that's opened a completely new economy, a new revenue stream for the companies, make them more engaged with their clients. Their clients want, I think banks are a great example for custodians. I trust my bank today with my fiat money. Of course I will trust them with my crypto. The world had a few accidents where people put their assets in some crypto exchange that the founders disappeared. It happened in South Africa, in Turkey, where 2 billion in each exchange got stolen. So I think now that traditional banks are joining that industry with the most secure infrastructure for custody. It really brings trust to the market and really bring a new revenue stream for those new companies.
Absolutely. Now coming from banks, your experience, Pia, how can we see this new technology helping companies move forward in all of these examples that we were sharing that again, it looks like so bright in the way that we can open up to all new products.
Totally. So yeah, actually coming from banks, right? So I was in traditional finance for 6 years, working private wealth, and I would see the frustration of clients when they're sending perhaps sometimes large amount of funds between their account in Germany to the US, and sometimes you would actually have no idea when, you know, the exact day that it would arrive. So kind of like tying that together to payments for companies, right? This is definitely a vertical that we're very, very excited at Fireblocks. And our vision in Fireblocks is that payments is the new, that blockchain is a new payment rail, right? So to my earlier point, where today you have, you know, global companies that have subsidiaries in different countries, and it can take many, many days, and you have delayed in capital flows. But imagine if that could be happening instantly, right? And it can. And to your point, Alfredo, a real example right now, actually, Fireblocks, we have a payments engine that helps companies right now with the Mexico and US rail, for example. So US merchant has users in Mexico that they pay in Mexican pesos their subsidiary in Mexico, right? But now, how do you get that in an efficient way back to their bank in the US? So the way that's happening right now is that a PSP receives the Mexican pesos from the users in Mexico. It uses an exchange to then on-ramp into a stable coin, in this case USDC. The exchange then connects to our Fireblocks vaults that then connects to an exchange in the US to do the off-ramp, and that will get to the bank account of the headquarter of the merchant, right? And that actually is happening right now in less than 10 minutes. So you suddenly have instant settlement, which will allow these companies to have funds much earlier, invest in new line of business, cost efficiency, speed, time, 24/7, all these examples. So, and this is something we're very excited to bring more. Right now we have a lot of demand of PSPs using this, but we really hope that banks and, you know, and us users will be able to do this in a much faster, efficient, simple way.
Absolutely, and when one looks at it from the inside, it's like so exciting, right? It's like it's difficult to not share that excitement. Juliana, how can companies see some specific examples of this going on?
Yeah, so basically BitGo is also an infrastructure company. So we are operating in, basically our clients are using our technology, our blockchain technology in the backbone of their business. And we are in the intersection of many sectors. For example, we are sourcing technology for TradeFi, using us currently for payments as well. So either with stable coins or using their own tokens in order to facilitate FX settlements between other companies, or either into their own structures for pay, for example, merchants or suppliers. When we look for the Web3 native projects and clients, we have some examples based on DeFi technology, allowing lending business to access small and medium companies that have this demand for this type of credit. But right now with big banks, for example, sometimes are very expensive. So they are using blockchain smart contracts to provide all that. Also with TradeFi, we have the examples of tokenization. So basically they are using our infrastructure to tokenize real world assets and also integrate their tokens into our structure. It's a good call out to remember that we are regulated as a crypto custodian. So we have what we call the fiduciary responsibility. And when we talk with banks, this is very important because at the end of the day, it's the money of the third party that they need to have like a very reliable structure to keep the custody on. Last but not least, we have the CBDC in Brazil. It's a great hype. It's basically happening with many banks, and they are very into this new solution. And we are also sourcing the custody, the back-end technology for these companies to allow their business to operate with the new CBDC that it's called DREX. So some cases that we are into right now and that are very interesting.
Absolutely. And again, so we have 5 more minutes and exactly, I think 1 minute for each of you. And let me go back to you, Juliana, because what do you see for the future? And this is the same question for all of you. Again, we are inside for many years, so we cannot say, you know, how come they're not doing it already, right? We see all the advantages of this technology. What can you guys see for the future? Maybe not the exact immediate future, but for the future of companies using this technology.
Yeah, so this is a great question, especially here in Latin America, where we have so many economic and political problems. In Brazil, for example, we are having this great momentum of the new crypto bill, allowing companies to have more clarity in order to operate with crypto. Asset managers, now they can have like crypto on their portfolio without any, tension with the regulator, and we have the CBDC. So of course, that my vision for the near future, for the next 5 to 10 years, it's more mass adoption for sure, more institutional capital coming in, especially with the incumbents in Brazil, all the top tier 1 banks, they have something related to crypto. If not, they have their own business unit working with crypto. Some of them, they want to be custodians. Some of them want to deal only with investments, but everyone is talking about this new technology. So as I said before, we have a great momentum for traditional assets being tokenized. We have more institutional money coming in, and also more investment options. So I guess we are in the right track, and for sure Latin America is leading the agenda compared to other regions as US, for example, and some countries in Europe.
Yes, Sophia.
Yeah, so just piggyback on Juliana's, I think totally agree in terms of mass adoption, right? Like that's the goal. And here, we're very privileged to be already in the market and see these examples, specifically to the payments I was talking earlier. PSP is already using it. So what we expect, for example, in that journey, right? PSPs, then fintechs, then banks. So the banks that the Mary and the Joe uses, they'll be able to then use that, through blockchain in the back, but maybe they don't even need to know that blockchain is in the back, right? So I think the goal and the vision is for really like mass adoption, but for really everyone. And us at Fireblocks, we try to arm the trusted already institutions, right? Such as the banks, the central bank in Brazil. We're very closely working with them in the central bank digital currency project to provide this technology. But then the result is that in the front end, when the normal people will be using it, they'll be able to do it in a very secure, efficient, and simple way.
Excellent. Aye.
Yeah, I think just in a very, very near future, there will be a very strong adoption because right now MiCA came into play in Europe, where basically all the banks, all the huge institutions that you talk to are getting into crypto. Hopefully in the next few weeks, Bitcoin ETF will be approved also in the US. I think that will make massive impact in the market. So there's a lot of trends, and Dubai, Emirates, that announced they want to lead the world of digital assets with their huge amount of assets. So I think in a very near future, we will see huge mass adoption, and looks good.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully.
Luis.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that in the future, they're going to be adopted, of course, and it will turn a lot of things. And you can look in the past, the way when the music became software, it changed the way the music was traded, the music was listened, changed a lot. Social networks as well. So when this is adopted and there is in the 100% of the planet being natural thing, the crypto or Bitcoin, I think there are a lot of things that I am not able to see that is going to come. I don't even imagine. But Netflix didn't imagine that they will end up with a streaming. They just traded movies by mail.
Right.
So I think the effect's going to be pretty much that way. We are not going. There are a lot of things that are going to be new segments of products, not just products.
Not on.
It's the same as when the mobile era came. Now the virtual era with the pandemics. There are a lot of things new that are coming, and this is going to change the way the countries may import and export. This is going to change as the e-commerce changed the way we start buying products. So a lot of things will have to change because of there is a new era. Yes, so that's pretty much my vision on that.
Done. You close us.
All good. I'll try and keep it super short. So a couple of points that have already been mentioned. So short term, I think increased access to investments, particularly to institutional investors who need regulated, exchange-traded asset classes. So May mentioned the spot Bitcoin ETF in the US. Major players, BlackRock, Vanguard, Fidelity, huge, traditional asset managers behind these, and BlackRock yesterday also announcing they're going to apply for a spot Ether ETF. So I think that's huge in terms of opening up access to those that can invest in and how. And then the second point was sort of mentioned as well on sort of going to mainstream adoption, and that probably in the short run happening behind the scenes. So I think that, the best adoption of technology is when we all stop talking about it and actually just talk about what the solutions are. And I think, initially fiat to fiat, remittances, US dollars to real, don't need to know it's crypto behind the scenes. You're going into Bitcoin, sending it over Lightning, selling it on the other side, and money being, easy to send like an email. But yeah, probably just fiat to start. And that, I think, is the start of real adoption beyond speculation.
Absolutely, looking bright. I want to thank you all. I want to close with this saying that we always say, it's not about the price. It's never been about the price. It's about the technology. Now, having said that, to the moon. Thank you.
Thank you.